Everybody and their mamas now have a podcast,
We have a podcast.
It's your favorite podcast.
including me.
Welcome to season 4 of 20 Something Rand podcast.
So, what really is going on? That's what we're going to talk about in today's video. Why is everybody starting a podcast? What does this mean for the industry? Should you start a podcast in 2023? Don't we have enough podcasts already? How can you monetize if you decide to start a podcast? How can you build your community? All of this and more is what I'll be talking about in today's video. And since I've been doing this for over 4 years now, I do think that I have some pedigree to talk to you about this. Like, seriously, come here, let's talk. So if you're interested in something like this, make sure to watch this video till the very end. Okay? All right. If this is your first time seeing my face, hello, my name is Jessica Fortunes. I'm a podcaster. I host the podcast 20 Somethings Rants. Make sure to check that out on Spotify, Jamit, Anchor, Google, wherever it is that you get your podcast from. Just check it out. I promise that you would definitely enjoy it. Okay? Yes. To my returning subscribers, hey, how you doing? Welcome back. Thank you for stopping by. I'm happy to have you here. Okay? So if you're watching this, you're probably thinking about starting a podcast, or you're wondering as well, why is everybody starting a podcast? What am I missing? How do I get involved so that I get a part of the national cake? You're in the right place, right? And so I'm going to start the conversation by giving a brief history onto how podcast started.
Podcasting is a word that's concatenation of iPod and broadcast.
I like to define podcast as audio content online. The concept of podcasting was first developed in the early 20s by popular MTV VJ Adams Corey and software developer Dave Winner. While the term podcasting was coined by the journalist Ben Homersley in an article The Guardian in February 2024. Since then, podcasting has grown in popularity and become a mainstream platform. Now today we have millions of listeners listening to podcasts and also thousands of people creating podcasts. Now podcasts has even become bigger with players like Spotify and Apple creating platforms that people can create on and also share their podcasts. So yes, the industry has grown since the 20s up to today. Now that said, like everything else, there's always an advantage and a disadvantage. So let's start first with the advantages and why it seems like everyone is starting a podcast. First, starting a podcast is very easy, even easier than starting a YouTube channel. For YouTube, you probably have to get dressed, do your makeup, slay, wear gorgeous outfits, and all of those. For podcasts, you don't need any of that. You can start a podcast right now. Like, pick up your phone and start a podcast. It is that easy to start. And you have a podcast, and automatically you're a podcaster. So that's a really good one. Now, unlike radio, podcasts are online. There are no limitations. You can basically say anything and everything that you want on your podcast. Like, it's yours, which is why some of the content and things that you hear nowadays on podcasts be like, why are you saying that? Why is there no restriction? Well, the truth is, if people build their platforms, they have a right to say whatever it is. Nobody is necessarily restricting. Nobody is saying, oh, don't say that. There are no regulations. Maybe there will be in future, but for now, there are none. So it means that everybody is creating whatever they want to and saying whatever they want to. Another advantage that I personally like about podcasts is the fact that no one gets to see your numbers. Yes, no one. Like on YouTube, you can check out how many subscribers I have. You know how many views my videos have and all of that. But you don't know when it comes to my podcast. So I can tell you it has 100 or millions. You don't know that. So that really allows podcasters to be able to create for fun without any pressure. And I think that that's beautiful. I hope that it never changes. Number 3 thing is how intimate podcasting is. Like for most podcast listeners who basically listen via audio only, it's very smoothing to hear somebody's voice in your ears, just telling you sweet things while you're going about your day, while you're taking to work, going to work. Like, it just builds a level of intimacy. It helps you build a community. It personalizes you. It makes you feel like you know this person because it is so intimate. I think that another advantage it has is how long it can be. You can have podcast episodes as long as 2 hours or more. Go and check your faves. 2 hours or more on a podcast. And people are listening because you can do it while cooking, you can do it while driving, while taking a work, while going to work, while working in the office. You can be listening to podcasts. And so you just keep going about your day while you have your favorite people in your ears and you're having a good time. So I think that that's also another advantage. And the reach. The reach is really great. It's massive. And I think that compared to the data you spend on YouTube with producing, uploading, or even consuming podcasts, it's a lot cheaper than every other content. YouTube, especially here in Nigeria, where it's like data is still pretty much expensive. With audio, it is cheaper for people to access, it is cheaper for people to get, and then it's also cheaper for you to produce it. So invariably, podcasts are really very easy to consume, easy to make, they're available. They just, when it comes to creating content that is very easy, podcast really is it. That doesn't take away the work that goes into creating a very, very good podcast. It takes a lot of effort, but you can start one and then grow. So later in this video, I'm going to share with you how you can start a podcast in 2023. But before then, let's go into the cons so that you're very, very aware. And you don't say, Jessica did not tell me. All right. Remember how I mentioned that it's easy to start podcasts, inexpensive, and all of that? Well, what that means is everybody has a podcast. And so that means the competition is a lot. So you're competing to get your podcast seen, you're competing to stand out, you're competing for audience, you're basically competing because everybody has a podcast. Everybody, what's the podcast you're trying to start? Somebody is already doing it. Like, it's already somewhere. I have a podcast for 20s. There are a number of podcasts about 20s, 420s on the internet. So that's a hell lot of that's a lot of competition. And it means that you need to be consistent. You need to put in so much effort to stand out. So that if you don't have the guts and the grit, you're just going to start. And after a few months, you stop because the competition is high, very, very high. Getting audience, getting people to listen. Now, I say that podcasting helps you to build a connection, but it takes time for you to be able to build that connection. I was listening to one of my favorites or some of the biggest here in Nigeria, and you'd see that it took them a long time, like over 5 years, for them to get to where they are today. Someone even said it took her a long time for her to start making money. Like, she started in 2017 and they didn't make money until, was it 2021 or 2022? I can't remember right now. But that tells you how long it takes to really build an audience that can ride with you. So if you're thinking of a way to make quick cash, you might want to think again because it's going to take you a number of years. Or if you're lucky and you already have like a cloud, you already have a community, then why not? I mean, that's something that some of the big YouTubers really have an advantage in terms of the fact that they already have like an audience. So they're just moving their audience from here to here. And so that's easier. But if you're starting from scratch like I did, it's going to take time and you've got to be patient, right? But the thing is, when you do build your core audience, they will grow with you. They will be there to thick and thin with you. So you just have to be patient, okay? And the last thing would definitely be that a lot of people don't even know what a podcast is. The first time I heard of a podcast was in 2019, and that was the year I started my podcast. That was the first time someone was telling me, go listen to podcasts. As opposed to then, I'm like, what's that? And there are people in 2023 who still do not know what a podcast is, especially here in Nigeria. So it means that when you're saying you want to become a podcaster, you want to have a podcast, you're going to have to you're basically gonna have to explain to people, tell people how to listen, where to listen. You are basically educating people about what it is. So it's a lot harder than you starting a YouTube. Most people know about YouTube. YouTube has built such a fan base. YouTube has built a community even here in Nigeria. So it's very easy because you already have an audience, right? So it's easy for you to start creating content. Whereas for podcasters, it's a lot harder. You have to do a lot of explanation. So having spoken about the pros and the cons and probably made you scared. I'm sorry, that was never my intention. I'm just trying to be as realistic as possible. Now I'm going to go into answering some questions that I got on my social media platform about podcasting. So let's go straight into it. Should you start a podcast in 2023? My answer to that would be if you want to, right? If you want to, yes. Why not? What's stopping you? I know that somebody sent me a question saying, should I start a podcast because everybody already has a podcast? But the truth is there anything you want to do that nobody has ever done? Think about it. People have literally done everything, but it's not going to stop you, right? See, fashion designers. I would think that all the clothes and all the bags and all the shoes have been designed, but no. People are still learning to be tailors. People are still learning to be fashion designers. People are still creating new stuff. So podcasting is still new. You're not saying you don't want to start because you're already enough. No, we don't have enough yet. So please continue. And as a podcaster myself, when I see that, podcasting is becoming big, people are talking about podcasting, people are becoming podcasters. For me, what that means is more content, more podcasters, more platforms, more money because more advertisers. So yay! Everybody start making a podcast because it also means more listeners. When I see podcasting trending on Twitter, I'm like, that's good. That's an opportunity for me to promote my podcast. So you need to look at things in the positive. Forget that everybody's starting a podcast, everybody's doing this. You know how many people are lifestyle bloggers and bloggers, and tomorrow there will still be more. You just need to add your own twist to it, your personality to it, make it yours, and forget what every other person is doing. Well, not necessarily forget, but like don't let that stop you. That's not a reason for you to stop. So if you want to do it, go for it. Like I already said, it's not so hard for you to start one. The hard thing is for you to stand out, right? So when I say go start, you also need to take a moment to think about the process of starting. Now that would lead me into how to start a podcast in 2023. How to start in 2023? Very easy. There are a number of platforms out there that you can basically start recording with. All you need to do is download them on your phone. I started in 2019 with Anchor, but now I know that there's Libsyn, there's Podbean, there's Jamit as well. Like there are a number of other platforms out there as well that you can basically start. And now there's even Spotify for podcasters, which is Anchor, but by Spotify and all of that. So all you need to do is download these apps and press record, start recording and uploading online. That's how to literally start. Or even YouTube. YouTube now allows you to do podcasting. So make your videos and put it there as a podcast, and it would also go out as well as a podcast. But what you need to do is as you continue to grow and as you want to develop, then you put all the structures in place. Think about your branding, your marketing, your target audience. Who are you trying to, appeal to, building a community, monetization, all of these things you start to think of as you grow. And like I said before, you can either decide that you want to start small and go big, or you can want to go, you have the money and you decide that you want to go really, really big from the start if you have it, or if you have a team and you can do it. That's the best bet. Just put your money into it and go for it. Right? So that's about it. Next question is, how profitable is podcasting? So here we go into monetization. Now, unlike YouTube, with podcasts here in Nigeria, especially, and probably Africa, you have to build your monetization strategy, right? It's very different from YouTube, where it's like, once you reach certain thresholds, you start making money. With podcasts, you have to determine how you're going to make money. And there are several ways that you can make money. You can make money from advertising. If you have a big community, you pitch yourself, you get people advertising and reaching your audience on your platforms. You can also start by, some people open having extra content, where it's like, I give you the main content and then I have exclusive content that people have to pay for. Or you can also go the route of selling merch. You can sell merch, design stuff with your with your logo and all of that and get people buying from you. You can also make different type of merch: t-shirts, cups, tote bags, caps. Once you've built your community, obviously, like there are a number of ways. There's also live shows. A couple of us have seen live shows. I think I haven't attended one, but I intend to attend one soon. So basically, you can host a live show different ways, but I think that it boils down to you as a creator being able to make money. Personally, I have made money from podcasting. I made money by teaching about podcasting. Secondly, I made money by hosting podcasts for other people. Next, I made money from advertising. Now, there's also another thing, right? Remember where I said you can decide to go all big or start all small. Now, I started really small because I had a platform and I started, you know what? Small business owners want people to help them promote. So how about I use my platform to promote? And so I started charging for that. So for podcasting, you as an individual need to be very business minded. You need to have a strategy. You need to think of how you want to make money and then go for it. Nobody's going to tell you, oh, do this, unless you have like a team working with you. But if you're doing it all by yourself, you need to be business savvy. You need to spend time thinking about it and then go in to do it, because nobody's going to do it for you. There's no one platform. I think that in the US and the UK, Anchor helps you to get advertisers and all of that. But until it comes to Nigeria, we're going to have to do it ourselves, which is fine. So if you're very business savvy, you make a lot of money from podcasting because you can pitch yourself, you can tell people, you can sell yourself, negotiate, and get people advertising. But if you're not, then it will take you time, because it's not much of a big deal yet. But I think that even as the years continue to go by, as companies become involved, I'm seeing a lot of companies starting their own podcasts, collaborating with podcasters. So that means that it's going to be very profitable. But then, right, I think again that it depends on the team and the person hosting the podcast. So if you're very business savvy, you know what it is to run a business, you know how it is to make money from your content, then you would make money. But if you're not, you probably need to learn and then also create quality content that you can sell, because you can also sell your content and make money. So you see, I think that should be another whole topic. But yeah, you can make money. I think that is profitable if you are business minded and you're money minded. Some people just like to think, I don't care about the money. That's fine. Me, I care about the money. So I like to find ways to make money. So yeah. The next question here says, how to get listeners and how to grow. This one, I would say like everything, market, promote. Thank God for social media, so you can post on every platform. I realize now that videos are a big deal. That's why I incorporated videos into 20 somethings run. So now I use videos to promote, and it's helping me increase my downloads or listeners, and I'm excited about that. So I think that you need to find every way. Like, okay, let me backtrack a bit. First, obviously, decide who your target audience is. Who are you trying to reach? Where are they on? I'm trying to reach 20s. So where are they on? They're on social media. They're in different groups. They're probably listening to other podcasters or certain type of podcasters. So I follow those people. I see what they're doing. I see what groups they're in. I try to engage with their people and tell them about my podcast. Then I try to create content that relates to people. Like the type of content that I create also determines the people that listens. So that's something that you need to think about. And then from there, I promote it. Sometimes I run ads. Sometimes I do TikTok. Sometimes I basically just put it everywhere that you know your target audience is. So the base of it is finding your target audience and then creating content that they want. What do they want? What do they want? What do they need? What is important to them? What makes them tick? Right? Find it out and then create those type of content. Make sure to follow the analytics. Look at your analytics. What are people saying? What are people talking about? Take note of those things and then create them into content. Make them into content. Use your SEOs. If you can make blog posts, start newsletters. Just all of these online tools that are available to us, use them. If you're in groups, promote it there, or even start your own group and all of that, so you keep growing. But the key is finding your target audience, finding the content that they like, creating it, and telling them that you have created it so that they can come and get it. But if you have even more money, run ads, put your put your podcast on cross promote with other podcasters, go on other people's podcasts and talk about your podcast, like just cross promote, that kind of thing. So do that as well, and it would help you. What else can you do? Physically, when you see people, tell people, oh, I have a podcast, listen to my podcast. When I first started, I used to be very ruthless with it. Now I've calmed down a bit. I mean, I still tell people, but now I don't as much as I used to. I think that I should go back to it anyways. When I see people in person, I tell, hey, I have a podcast. Oh yeah, like, listen to my podcast. Also create tiny merch. Let me show you this. I created this pop socket that says "When Something's Rants." Create stickers as well, tiny things, and distribute them to different people. So anywhere people go and they see TSR, what's TSR? It's a podcast. I'll go and listen to it. Create stickers that have 20 something's rants. Just find new creative ways to talk about your podcast, and then get yourself out there as well. So these are ways that you can get listeners. And then when you get listeners, you make sure to stay consistent so that they can come back, all right? And then you make sure that you keep helping them to grow, helping them to be better, helping them to learn. People want to learn, people want to grow. So think about them. And when you think about them, they will come to you, right? And that's how you grow. That's not to say that it's easy. It takes time to grow. And I think I already said that before. It takes a whole lot of time. You need to, especially when it comes to podcasts, you need to basically keep groping and grooming and grooming. But if you use SEOs, they'll find you. Go do trendy stuffs as well. Do trendy things. Like, don't be afraid to do trends. I used to be afraid to do trends because, oh my God, everybody's doing something trendy. But yeah, there comes a time in your life when you need to do trends and follow the trends so that you can blow, so you can go viral. At least the possibility of going viral is there. But then just do all of those things, and then eventually it will happen. Slow and steady, but it will definitely happen. But if you already have a community, it would just blow from there. Another thing is, actually, I forgot to mention this, and that would be inviting really high people. So if you're able to get a Davido on your podcast, of course you know you're going to blow, right? Because he has that clout. But then if you don't have it, find other ways. Look for interesting people to feature on your podcast. Look for interesting stories. Something people have not heard before, something unique, something different. I think that one of the advantages or things I'm blessed with when it comes to something rants is the stories that people tell me. I'm so grateful for them. They tell me some things that are very personal. So even though I might not have the most famous person on my podcast, I have the story that is unique to them, and people want to listen to that because it kind of like helps them to relate, to learn something and all of that. So you need to find interesting people, interesting topics, and then talk about it, promote it, and talk about it everywhere, right? And you will definitely grow. Slow, but you will grow. How not to run out of ideas. I think that the way I stay with ideas always is by listening to people. What is trending? What are people talking about? And also looking at my analytics. Who says that you cannot repurpose the content? You can repurpose. You see that something is doing very well, then make it, spin it, do it into a series, do different, like one topic. Let's say, obviously, people like to talk about relationships, about dating. You can turn that into dating in your 20s, who not to date, why to date, when to date, this dating, this, make it into a long series, and people will listen. So you just need to always, what is the analytics saying? Follow the numbers, follow data. What is data saying? What is data telling you? Pay attention to those things, recreate those things, go online. What are people talking about? What is trending? What is affecting the people that I'm trying to reach? Whatever it is that is affecting them, whatever it is that you're talking about, create content around them. Another thing that I like to do is actually take time to see what my competition is doing. I remember one time I said forget about them, but now I remember you don't have to forget about them. Find out what they're doing, where are they at, how are they growing. I sit down sometimes and I just check out, listen to competition, what are they doing, where are they on, what makes them different, why are people listening to them, and then I try to recreate. There's nothing new under the sun. All that it takes is, don't copy word for word. And if you copy or you use exactly what they've put out, then give them credit or something like that. But then to say that, you're going to sit down, an idea is just going to come to you, nah. You're going to intentionally stay curious, try to learn more, try to research, and then add your tweaks to what you find. When I see something, this is how they did it. Okay, this is how I'm going to do mine. Or even this is what they're doing, but they can do something like this. From reading, from listening to other people, I see what to talk about. And because we're every day interacting with people, with our target audience, then their pain point, and then you create content from it. Because the truth is, there are many issues in this life, good, bad, everything in between, but there are issues and people want to talk about them. People need answers to them. So just get yourself involved in the conversations that your target audience are having, and then look at what your competition is doing. Look at what is trending when it comes to the government, education, in different aspects. Just look at it and then talk about those things. That way you never run out of ideas. And also, don't restrict yourself to, oh, I'm in Nigerian, so only Nigerian podcasters I'm going to listen to. No, don't do that. You're Nigerian, listen to podcasters in the UK, listen to podcasters in the abroad, listen to podcasters in Spain. What are they doing? Find ideas from them, come and use it on your own, and then you grow. That's how you do that. Okay, just stay curious, and you get ideas. Last but definitely not the least, this talked about costs. Now, if you want to start small to big, then you can basically start with $0. Just start with your phone, download it. It costs you data, right? And then start putting out. That's it. Just money for data. That's about it, right? But if you want to start like, oh, I want to go all big, that's gonna cost you a whole lot more because you're going to need a microphone. You're gonna need what? You're gonna need headset. You're going to need, what else are you gonna need? You're not gonna need headset. You're going to need a studio, right? So that noise. You're also gonna need, what are you gonna need? You're probably going to need someone to edit your video for you if you don't know how to edit by yourself. You're going to need an editor. If you do videos too, you're going to need editor. You're going to need to edit it. You're going to need to promote it, right? If you want to go big, then you want to spend money on it. So that is going to cost you a whole lot. That's not to say that the money is wasted. No, it is money well spent because, like I said before, you can sell your content. So if you create really good content, it's not a waste of money. You're investing and it will pay eventually. But it's a thing of where are you now? What money do you have? How much do you have? If you have enough, then go for it. If you don't, start small. So I can't really give a specific figure on to say this is how much it will cost you because right now, even though when I started I bought a microphone, I can't remember how much it cost me and all of those. So I think I'll make another video with somebody who is more knowledgeable when it comes to equipment and how much it would actually cost you. But I know that you need to get microphone, speakers, headset, amplifiers. You're gonna need a studio. You pay for time, all of that. So it will cost you a number. It will cost you money. But then I'll talk about that more detailedly in another video. And I think that's about it for today's video. Very funny, but I was editing the video and then I realized that there was one question that I had not replied to. So this is me here coming to make sure that I reply to that question, even though I look very still beautiful. But anyways, the question was on how to stay consistent with limited time and limited tools. So I would say that you need to be sincere with yourself. You already say you have limited time, limited tools, then maybe you're not going to be able to do it every week. Then you need to do once in 2 weeks or once a month. Just define what consistency is for you. Consistency doesn't have to be, oh, it has to be every week, just because that's what every other podcast is doing. What is consistency for you? What is consistency based on your schedule? What is consistency based on what you have with you? I took a 1 year break, right, before coming back. And I'll tell you that it was one of the best decisions of my life when it comes to the podcast because I came back better. I forged the partnership. I decided on how I wanted to go about it. And I think that the podcast is doing better for it. So you just need to be consistent in terms of your own consistency. What is consistency for you? Also, if you need to take a break and then re strategize. Also, like, don't let people define your consistency or what you should be like. Like, defining based on your terms. I had to speak on a Twitter space a few days ago. And when I was asked, I said, see, I do content, I do 9 to 5, I also school and all of that. And when it comes to like my list of priorities, podcasting is probably number 5 or number 6. Not because I don't love podcasting, but at the moment it doesn't foot my bills. So I put other things that foot my bills ahead of it. And so if there's ever a need for me to, oh, stop podcasting at this time, then I'm just going to tell my audience to say, hey guys, I'm going on a break because of this for so reason, and tell them that I have to go on a break, or tell them I have to change something. Maybe instead of doing every week, I'll do it every 2 weeks. Instead of like, I'll just change it and be open to my audience and tell them what's going on so that there's a communication and interaction, and then we can move from there. Because at the end of the day, if I'm not healthy, if I'm not able to do it, then I can't do it. I can't beat myself. So what I do is give myself break, be sincere with myself, and then define what consistency is for me based on where I am, the tools that I have, the time that I have, and then I'll move from there. So that's really what I do. I have a longer video on how I combine content creation with work and school and all of that. So you can watch that as well. But really, it's about you defining what consistency is for you. It could be once a month, once in 2 months, like just define what it is for you and then work with it. And based on when it comes to resources, use what you have. If anything, again, just tell your audience, have a very good relationship with your audience. This is what I have. Oh, when I didn't have any partnership and I wasn't using microphones, then my audience accepted it like that, right? And they knew because I'm a student. And then as we improved and we grew and I got a partnership, I told my audience as well. And we just keep growing from there. So basically, it's like we're on a journey together, and I'm not having to stress because I'm not trying to do more than I am. I'm not trying to do any extras. I'm just doing me and then sharing my journey as I go. So I have sort of imbibed the content into my life, not trying to change my life because of content. No, the content is a part of my lifestyle. So it's very easy for me to communicate and very easy for me to use what I have and what I don't have. I'll see when I get it. So that's about it. I hope that you find this helpful. If you have any more questions, leave them in the comment section. Bye, guys. Oh. So I hope that you found this useful. I hope that this helps you as you decide to start your own podcast. If you have any other questions, leave them in the comment section and I'll make sure to get to them. And until next time, I remain Jessica Fortunes. Again, make sure to listen to 20 Somethings Run podcast. Okay? All right. Bye. Bye.